Hello, hello, JOANN fans. It's so good to be with you. I am Vickie Howell, the host and creator of the Knit Show with Vickie Howell, and also a designer and a craft ambassador. And also today I am here with you as a co-leader of a Girl Scout troop. So you've probably heard that JOANN and Girl Scouts have teamed up to empower and encourage and nurture girls to become creative and be creative and live creatively. And so when I saw that action, I wanted in on it. So because I have been so fortunate over the past 6 months to get to come here on the JOANN Facebook page to show you a love of yarn craft, I thought how better to spend a day than to combine my love for the Girl Scouts, my craft professionalism, and also, cookies. So today that's what we're going to be doing. I am going to be showing you a headband. It is a Girl Scout Cookie-Inspired Headband that your girls can wear while selling cookies, or just when they're feeling extra sweet, or, not at all. They can just use it as a decoration. I designed this tutorial to absolutely be used in a classroom if teachers want to use it, at meetings if scouts want to broadcast it, just throw it on your phone, at home if you mamas and papas and grandmas and grandpas want to get your kids finger knitting. Even if you don't make this the headband, I'm going to be showing you the basics of finger knitting, and then you can just rise and shine from there. And I'll also show you some alterations on this that don't make it so specific. So this, based on one of our favorites, caramel coconut chocolate, yum. Also, I chose this one because I thought it would really translate the best into finger knitting. But let your girls and guys who might be making these really just choose their own cookie, and when you do, please tag at Vickie Howell and at JOANN so we can see them, because we love you. We will love watching you be creative, and we love watching kids be creative. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first show you all the basics of finger knitting, and then we'll apply it to the headband. It's easier if I can flip the camera around so you can watch it from my hands angle, and that'll also help you if you want to show this video to your kids after this live broadcast, or now. Maybe they're home with you. Maybe you're homeschooling. And then they'll be able to really understand it and see it from their perspective. The yarn that I'm using, I chose, this is Homespun by Lion Brand. I chose it probably for the obvious reasons. I thought that it kind of evoked the same texture. It's a boucle yarn, which means it's kind of, see, it's got those little wiggle waggles. And this cookie happens to have this golden coconut. So I thought they really looked similar. Also, this has obviously been toasted. A little bit of that color comes through on this. But you can use whatever yarn makes you happy. And also, written out instructions for this are available on the JOANN Craft blog, the Creative Spark blog. They've also pinned it to the top comment of this feed if you are watching it on Facebook. And if you are watching it later on the Knit Show with Vickie Howell YouTube channel, I will include the link in the description. Okay, so we're going to start with this. All you need to begin is your yarn and some fingers. Scout leaders, teachers, this one skein will get you many of the little medallions for headbands. So don't feel like you have to get one per girl, or really, you probably 1 for 10 girls would be fine. So this is absolutely an affordable craft. Okay, I'm going to flip around the camera, and then we are going to get started. All right, so to set up, we're going to wrap the yarn around our hands. The pattern is written to wrap around 3 fingers, but if you're working with Daisy Scouts, the younger girls, and maybe some of the brownies, you might want to have them do it all around all 4 fingers. It's really your call. It'll just make it a little bit thicker. What we're doing is we're starting by making, let me give you a visual. We're beginning, and this is how you would do any finger knitting, making a tube. So even if you're not making this actual project, this is what you will be making in perpetuity as long as you are finger knitting. You start with one of these little tubes. So you grab your yarn, and you need a little bit of a tail, and you want to lay it through your pointer finger, between your pointer finger and your middle finger, and wrap it around counterclockwise. Oh, I see some brownie leaders popping up. I'm so glad to see that. Please share this video with anybody else that you think might enjoy it. I appreciate it. Shout out to the leaders. All right, so now we've wrapped it around our forefinger. Then we want to go under, over. Now, if you're going to go on to the fourth finger, you'd go under again. Like I said, the pattern's written for 3 fingers, and I'm an adult, so I have bigger hands. I'm going to come under again, over, and under that one. That is your setup. You don't ever need to do that again. That is just getting the yarn on your fingers. Okay, so then you lay your strand, your working strand. The working strand is the one attached to the skein of yarn. And you want to take the loop that's on your finger, and it doesn't matter which side you start from. I usually just, start from the side that has wrapped around the yarn. And you want to pull the loop that's on the finger over and let it drop off. Then you move to the next one. Over, drop off. Move to the next one, over, drop off. And that is 1 row finger knit. To come back, you're going to do the same thing, but from the opposite side, you're going to lay that working yarn across. So because I've chosen, as I said before, I usually start from the side where the yarn began. I'm going to start from here. It actually does not make any difference. The end result will be the same. And you pull that bottom loop over. So if ever somebody gets stuck and isn't sure which ones they worked, if they've got 2 strands on a finger, they know that it has not yet been worked. Oh, I saw someone from Campfire Girls come up too. Absolutely. All the scouts everywhere. Or groups, empowerment groups, after school groups, all of them. Okay. And so you're just going to continue in this manner until the piece is the length that I call for in the pattern. After you've worked a few rows though, I would take the tail and kind of pull it out of the way. And you'll notice that kind of cinches it up. And you can also see I just have like a wee nubbin that the tube is starting to form. Just FYI, the part that you see when the back of your hand is facing you, this is actually the underside of the tube. If you flip it over, that's going to be the right side. So you would just continue going until you get your piece as long as it calls for. I have one here, and I want to just do a little bit of a sidebar. Woo! Regular old pipe cleaners work great when it comes to holding pieces that are not ready to be finished. If you need to take them out, like let's say a girl's parent comes to the meeting before she's done, or, you just need to stop and have dinner or whatever it is. If you just place the open loops on a pipe cleaner and then you can twist it, it'll keep them live without you dropping stitches, and then it's pretty easy to get off when you're ready to pick it back up again. So I'm going to slide it off of here. I'm looking at my piece. Okay, that's the underside. I know that I need the right side of the piece to be against my palm. So I'm just going to slide it back onto my fingers. And if you're wondering what ages this would be appropriate for, my 8-year-old helped me with some of these step outs, but some of them, I've started as young as kindergarten. It just depends on your individual child. So have fun and go for it. Okay, so what I want to show you now is how you would finish off the piece. So let's say that you have worked your long piece. This is enough of a length. Again, the length is written in the pattern. You can find that on the Creative Spark blog. Then you're going to, again, lay your working strand over. You're going to work that first stitch, work that second stitch. Then you're going to take this first stitch and you're going to lift it off the finger and put it on top of the next finger. And then you take the bottom loop and slide it off. That's 1 stitch bound off. Now you're going to go to the next finger, work that stitch, put the stitch to the right of it onto the next finger, let it drop off. The last loop, you just want to take the tail and feed it through. Now, you can also just frankly feed the tail through all of the loops. It just won't be as clean of a bind off, but you should just do what's age appropriate, what you feel like everyone's going to be comfortable with. Okay, so from there, it's time to create our shape. So I'm going to move the headband so this particular shape is round, but it's kind of a donut. It has, you know, this cookie has a little bit of a hole in the center. So we're going to be mindful of that from the very beginning. So good to see you all watching. Please be sure to bookmark this, save it for later. Use this at slumber parties or troop meetings or in the classroom to get your kids excited about yarn and finger knitting. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to roll this piece into a spiral, but being mindful that we want that hole in the beginning. So I need to find my right side. It's here. Flip it around. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap it around a few of my fingers just to create that hole in the center. And then you'll just continue winding it. If you're finding that kiddos' hands aren't able to hold on to this while they're winding it, you can just use clothespins sporadically to hold it in place so they don't get frustrated. But if you have larger hands or you're an adult, it's pretty easy to kind of keep everything in check. This is another great opportunity for the juniors and the cadets to take this video, go in and teach the younger girls. Be there to empower them with creativity and also get them really excited about Girl Scout cookies. Okay, so we've done our spiral. And the size really doesn't matter. I just wanted it big enough to sort of really bounce off the headband. And, you know, the width of headband you choose could also navigate how large you make it. From there, you just want to get a yarn needle, which is just any needle that has a big enough eye. This happens to have a plastic wire eye, but it can be any tapestry needle that has a big enough eye for yarn. And then you want to just start whip stitching. Because this yarn has so much color and texture, you really don't have to worry about what your stitches look like. It's really just to get the job done. And if you have any questions about this, please write them in the comment section. I will come back to the boards after the live feed is finished. And you can re-watch the recorded version as soon as we're done here and for the foreseeable future. And you're just going to continue in that manner, and you want to just whip stitch, whip stitch, whip stitch. Make sure you go through every spiral of kind of your cinnamon roll so that they don't fall apart. And you'll get something that looks like this. Doesn't have to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination, just vaguely kind of round and have that hole in the middle. Okay, from here, we're going to create our little fudge lines. And for that, you just want some plain, not blue clay, just plain yarn. And I chose, you know, brown because I wanted it to mock that chocolate drizzle. So to do that, we're just going to do simple sewing lines. So again, take a yarn needle, and you're just going to come up through the piece and then directly down, taking kind of long stitches. You want this to look like a drizzle. And don't pull too tight, because if you pull tight, you can see here, I'll do it now, it kind of disappears into the boucle yarn. So you want to make sure that it's got room to chocolatey shine, as it were. Then we're going to do, this is called a back stitch. I'm going to move it a little bit closer to the camera. Back stitch means we're coming up a little ways of where that other stitch ended, and then we come back to where the previous stitch ended. So to recap, we're going to go a little bit of a way from where the stitch ended. We'll come up and come back down to that previous spot. And you'll just continue that until you get rows and rows of line. You'll cut it and you'll start again, or you can weave your yarn underneath and not cut it. And then what you need to do is you need to grab some craft felt. But I highly recommend, these pieces aren't, for it to really sort of sit well on a headband, it's got to be able to form on the headband but without flopping over for it to really look like a cookie. So JOANN has this great felt, here's what the label looks like to help you, that's stiff. you need the stiffness, the body of this to really be the stage for this cookie medallion. So you're just going to essentially just trace the piece. You can, if you want to, ahead of time create a template for the girls. But honestly, I just set it down on my felt and I traced around it with a piece of chalk. And then I cut around it and then I cut a circle in it. Whatever you're comfortable with, you should absolutely do. And then from there, you can either take, you know, a glue gun. If you're working with older girls, with younger girls, you might want to take fabric glue. Either way, watch them. You want to glue that down. From here, well, and then you want to glue it to a headband. You want to make sure that the headband that you buy is flat on top. I liked this really wide one, but really you could have one half as wide. But you want to have enough surface area for it to be able to hold on to this kind of larger piece, this cookie, and also just curve around the head. I will, in the comment section, show it on my own daughter, actually, so you can see what it looks like on, just for reference. I also, just with my plain old computer, I printed out and it's cookie time sign, and I just hot glued it on. This is just cardboard, or I'm sorry, like cardstock. But it would be really cute if you got a Fun Badge inspired patch and you put it on there, or maybe you printed out your troop number. Really, anything goes. Just whatever makes you feel like it shows your personality. So if you're not a Girl Scout or a Brownie, or you're anti, I don't know, coconut cookie, whatever it is, I wanted to show you in a book that I wrote that you can do the exact same thing and not make it a cookie. Here's a picture of, this is also a spiral, different yarn, and we just put fabric buttons on top, and you can also see this as a skinnier headband. So that's another route. Or you can go away completely from the headband, and you can also turn them into flowers. This is also the same tube, spirals sewn, and then I just hot glued them to some branches that I had spray painted gold, and then I added vintage pins just because, and they sit in a vase. So it's a really fun way. So you can get people, use this tutorial to teach them how to finger knit, and then let them go and be who and make what they can make. So super easy, fun. I, am obviously super passionate about yarn crafts, and so finger knitting is my way that I like to get the younger set introduced to it. It's really fun. You can do a lot with just one long strand. Let them use their information. Let them get their cookie on. And just have fun. Thank you so much, and thank you to the leaders and the parents and the teachers out there that have joined in with JOANN and Girl Scouts, and now me, well, always me, to just empower kids to be creative and live creatively. Thank you so much. I will answer your questions in the comments. Please share this if you think you know a kid that would love to make a project like this, and spend your week with a little time being creative. Bye.